What is up, ladies and gentlemen, our Hitting the Bars community? It's a new year. It's a new me, as every freaking person says. How are you, Keltie? Do you feel like a new woman in the new year?
I am. I'm brand new. I have no faults. This year is the year of perfection. I've never done wrong. I'm her. I'm that girl. No, but we can try. And
I'm
we're
AI, is basically what you're saying.
I've been replaced. This is no longer Keltie. This is the perfect version of Keltie with ChatGPT.
Love. Absolutely love.
That's scary to think about for the year. Do you think this is the year AI takes over?
Absolutely not. I hope not. I really, really hope not. I would be so bummed.
That would
But
suck. That would suck.
it would just really suck. I'm just like kind of maybe wait for the robots to take over.
Just go. Just give us a bit more
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
I'd like a few more years.
Yeah, give me a few more years to get like my feet on the ground first. But it is pretty wild how like people are prepping for that. I mean, they're taking jobs left and right.
Yeah.
Maybe 2020 the robots are like 2024 are our days. It's our year.
Yes. Right. They're like, these suckers don't know. Like
Yeah,
2024 feels like 2024 feels like a fake year to me. It feels like those like the numbers you would see in like futuristic books. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like saying about 2024 specifically, not 2023, not 2019. 2024 feels like, oh, like we're in the future. We are in what Futurama was, all those kind of things.
Futurama, like that weird
cartoon?
show?
Yeah, the cartoon.
Ooh.
I don't even know if it was about the future.
I used to think that was a dirty cartoon because that alien had big boobs. I know.
You know what? There's probably a correlation between how big the cartoon's boobs were and how likely our parents were to let us watch it at a young age. I'm sure there's a direct chart you could make with that.
It was definitely for the teenage boys. But anyways, this is 2024 and per usual, should we get into the hot takes but make it a little New Year themed?
I would love that. I
would
love
hit me.
it. Well, mine was kind of leading, and I left off with this last episode, is just like that guilt. And does anyone feel like I do this every year? I have this week off before the New Year's. I'm going to perfectly write out my plan. I'm going to have my vision board. I'm going to have all these things ready to go. I have all this free time. But then by the time I've been go all December, those last few days of the last year, I just want to veg. I just want to relax. I just need to decompress. And then I'm like, I should have my whole vision board. I should have my whole plan for 2024 for like January 1st. And if you miss that like January 1st, you're like, I'll wait till the first Monday. And then you're in that ripple effect. And so now I've kind of been like, it doesn't have to be this January 1st hard line. It's kind of like spend the first week, getting everything in order, really mapping out what you want to do for the year. It doesn't have to be like hard set in stone, but just like some guidelines, and then pick a day that works for you. There's nothing magical with January 1st. There's something I like about the new year. Just you don't have to do it. But there's my hot take. Like, why January 1st? We're all hungover. Pick your own January 1st. And there it is.
I agree with that. I think there's so much pressure on ending a year financially, relationship, whatever it may be. I don't know, maybe it's certain goals you didn't accomplish. And just know that like a year, it's not necessarily true in the sense of like life keeps going. If you don't want to document it by years, you don't have to, and I guess that goes into like my hot take of stop waiting for a new year. And this is a time right now, especially. And I one-on-one train a lot of my girls, and they always will say, I'm waiting till the new year. And I'm so guilty of it as well. And I'm like, why are we saying that? Because like I said, there is no significance to a new year unless, you're just writing 2024 instead of 2023, right? So it's like, why couldn't you do, whether it's, these goals to work out, get active, maybe it's, pick up a new hobby, whatever it is. Why don't you start it right now? Like, to me, just get a head start on it. And because if you build up this like hype in your mind of like, oh, January is going to come, I'm going to be this perfect person, I'm going to be so diligent with it, it's like most likely you're just not going to. So why don't you do it now and just shock yourself? And then by the time it's January, you develop a habit. It's a little hard because it's now the new year, but I'm just saying, even just keep it in the back of your mind. If you're like, oh, next year I want to get into this next year, or, next quarter, just do it now because you're just putting it off. That's
Or even,
plain and simple.
and I find there's like two different ways you can go about like changing. One, you can like, I've gone, you move somewhere new, you flip your life upside down, you completely do a new routine and you become a whole new person. That is possible. And I think that takes a lot of planning. That takes changing your environment. Like you got to do a lot. It's possible. Or you can do the flip, like life's too busy. I wasn't able to do it last year. What's like the easiest thing that if you do that for 30 days is going to get you a little closer to whatever it is you want? And you know what I mean? So right now, if you're like, I don't have the time to change my environment and go to a new gym and all this, you're like, I could just take an extra 500 steps a day, or I could just drink a little bit extra water, or I could add in a supplement and do that for 30 days and then add on. So I think it really just depends on you, but both work. But one is easier and one's harder. At the end of the year, they're both kind of going to get you to the same place. If every month you add one small little habit, you're going to have 12 new habits at the end of 2024. Or you could just go for 12 new habits, bam, start January 1st, flip your life upside down, but then you got to maintain it for a full year. So pros and cons to both.
I'm like, I feel like a lot of books that talk about developing habits will kind of touch on that, of being like, if you, it's a slow progression, you'll see more success. If you take it black and white, where you're like, all right, and people do 75 and I totally support it. Hard 75. I would find it 75 hard. I would find it hard after the 75 hard, because then you're kind of like, you slowly get away from those habits you built. I'm like, I still think it's great because it pushes you. But for me, I'm like, I want a long run habit that I'm going to keep. So I rather not be so intense with it and just slowly make the small changes so I can like eventually wean off of whatever it is, or, you know, wake up early, whatever it may be, instead of it just being this challenge. Because once the challenge is done, I'm checked out. I'm like, all right, peace. I'm going to do whatever.
Yeah. And there is like, I guess, points like, for example, if you're on a weight loss journey, there gets to be a point where you no longer have to lose weight. So without talking about like things like that, I think whenever you bring in a new habit, you have to think like, do I want this for the rest of my life? Do you know what I mean? And I think we don't think of it that way. We're like, oh, just do this and I got to do this. I'm like, what happened if you, like 75 hard's a great example of like, I just did my own version of it and that video will go live on Saturday. But like, I didn't ever want to do 75 hard because nothing brings like, it is so ambiguous of like 2 workouts a day and one has to be outside. I'm like, that I don't want to do that the rest of my life. Like, sure I could, but that didn't really sound exciting. So like I reformatted the rules that work for me. So even if you're someone who's going to do 75 hard, 30 days of something, like try and ask yourself, like, once habits are made, they're hard to break. So like, you're signing up for this habit potentially for the rest of your life. So think it through. It doesn't have to be that deep, but what's one that you would like to have, like that would get you closer to where you is? You're saying you would just wish you did every day. Maybe just start there.
Yeah, I love that.
I like it.
Yeah.
With that being said, we decided to go and just kind of find over the last year, I kind of picked up some habits, tried some challenges. I think we all do that. And I put together a list of my 5 and Sav did her 5 of just like those little habits that we did that like small investment, great return. Those little things that we did that were quite easy to implement. And we're like, wow, this helped blank, blank, blank. So 10 habits that 10 times our life in 2023 that we think you guys might want to consider doing in 2024. And this is what they are. And I'd love Sav to start off with number 1.
Okay. My very first one is something that's not every day. It's quarterly for me, and everyone can decide when they want to do it. And I'm very visual with things. So I stopped doing New Year's resolutions every New Year's and writing out these goals. And instead I did a vision board, and then I would write, you know, whatever it was associated with the image. So maybe it's like a manifestation in a way of like, this is how I wanted, you know, maybe my career to be, or maybe my body, or maybe my mindset. And like, I would find these things. It could even be like colors. Like it could be anything that like I felt emulated whatever I was wanting to achieve. And the best part about this, doing it quarterly, I just do it on Canva. So you can do it for free. Go on Pinterest, find what you want, do some fonts, dress it up, and then write down little notes of what everything meant, because you might forget. It's kind of like a journal in a way. Every quarter, redo it. Just keep it on the same one. And it is so cool to see your goals either change or stay the same, or you tweak them. And I just found that this was, I could see my end result in a clearer light than just giving these goals of like, well, I want to look this way, or I want to make this much, whatever it was. Where vision board, I'm like, this is what I want to emulate. And I just think it was the best habit that I've done for not only like, I don't know, my business, but also my mind and my life, because I will have a lot of things with my relationship, goals in the future, what I want to accomplish, and it's fun. It's a little collage.
Love it. I love a vision board. I love one. So,
Me too.
and I like that the updates. I'm big on mood boards, vision boards for seasons. So, chef's
It's
kiss.
just cool to see. You're like, oh, back then I was
Mm-hmm.
really wanting this, and then maybe you
Yeah,
learned what was like,
important.
maybe you got over that or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was. And I don't delete them because I want
Yeah.
to see, what did I want? And I've done this for years. I'm like, what did I
Mm-hmm.
want at this age? And it's
I love
really
that.
fun to do it around the new year,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's fresh. And then just set a reminder in your phone to revisit it. Take an hour out of your day once a quarter, and just put some T Swift on in the background, and you're good to go.
Love it. Love it. My number one was, if you guys remember back in December, I hinted at something that could help with your scrolling. If you're doom scrolling on social media, focus mode. But we've all seen focus mode, where you can put like limits on all, you can put it, you can, maybe not everyone knows this. So that's why I'm saying it. A couple of people might. So sorry if you've heard this. You can make your phone become a different phone, but you can completely customize the focus mode. So I have 5 focus modes. I have do not disturb, working out, work, personal time, me time. And each time you turn on whichever it is, and you can have them scheduled for a time, it will completely reorganize your apps. It will delete apps. So it's like a whole new phone. So for example, when it's work time, it's all Notion, Gmail, Google Calendar, YouTube Studio, those iMessage kind of thing. And that goes on 9 to 5. Then it's timed after work, 5 to 7. It might be personal time. So my friends would come on there, and then, do you know what I mean? Social media goes away because I don't want to be scrolling, and my personal social media will come on. And like, it's like a whole new thing. Obviously you can search for things. Then at nighttime, I have like a nighttime one, and all that's on there is like weather, Aura Ring, and notes, like there's nothing fun. So like 8 p.m. comes around, and there's no, like, I scroll through my phone, there's nothing. So I'm so bored. I'm like, oh, this phone's really boring. So I'll just go to bed. And I find it's just like, and because it automatically happens, is I just found, like I said, suddenly there's no Instagram to scroll on. So I'm not going to scroll TikTok or Instagram because it's not there. And so really utilize the focus mode. There's a bunch of Instagram like reels, there's YouTubers, you can go and just like type in focus mode, and it'll show you how you go to settings, and like you'll have different pages you can set up. But this isn't even like the 1 minute shut off. I mean, like the icon isn't there. I have like I have a bright one for the daytime, a really dark wallpaper that comes on at night when I got to be winding down. And that has helped the scroll in so much because there's nothing to scroll.
That's awesome. I'll have
Yeah.
to check into that. I've seen the focus mode. I've just never done it.
I know. So completely, once you do it, it's like having 5 different phones. It's crazy. Highly recommend.
That's cool. Okay. Love that. My second one is, if you are like me and you really struggle at accomplishing tasks because you get, squirrel is how I word it, where you just get really distracted easily, I would say write out to-dos in your notes. And I know it's like everyone says, oh, write out your to-dos or whatever, but I never actually did it. I wouldn't take my own advice with it. And now every single morning I sit down, get my coffee, and I just bullet point and write it out. And I noticed like what was hurting when I wouldn't do this was the little tasks, paying my water bill. One time I forgot to pay my water bill and they shut my water off. I didn't have it for a full 24 hours. They don't just turn it back on. Like little things like that I just forget to do. And I'm like the house manager of my family. Like,
Yeah.
that's my go-to thing, is like I control it all, because that's just like more, I'm better at it. Michael would forget. So I have to like stay on top with like not only managing my schedule, but his schedule. I also plan, he now goes to conferences. I help him with that. So it's like the to-do list and just writing it out. If you're someone like me that is so squirrely, just like set it out and just constantly check it and mark it off. And you'll get those things that you push off that you're like, oh, well, I'll order this, I'll pay this, tomorrow. You'll never do it. Just write it down. And it's the most helpful thing that I found for 2023 for me to actually get stupid shit done in my life, that I was like, I would have never done it, but I forced myself because it was on my list and I wasn't allowed to like do anything fun until I finished my list.
Love it. Highly recommend if anyone wants the best to-do list, Notion. I've used Asana like Clip. Well, I've used them all. Canva. It's so nice. It's so nice.
See,
It's
I'm like a black and white girly.
it
Just
is
give
though.
me my notepad.
That's what it is. That's why it's
It
so good.
is?
Because that's why it's like all the other ones have all these bells and whistles, and you got to. I'm like, I can't be bothered. So it's just blank white pages, but you can add whatever you want to it. But normally mine are just like, that's why it's just checklists with little boxes, and click it, and you can copy and paste, add it to the next day. So I have like a template: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They copy and paste each week, and it has little reminders. So like every Monday I should do this, every Tuesday. So the reminder is always there, and every week just copy and paste the template. And it's just a to-do list, but now you can add photos, you can add links, you can go crazy. And at first I tried to copy all those people who go crazy with Notion. I'm like, I'm spending more time designing my Notion than just getting the to-do list done. But it's just a blank white with checkbox. So for my girlies who get overwhelmed, it's the one. It's the one.
You know SpongeBob SquarePants.
I'm familiar.
Okay.
I've dabbled.
He has this scene. I literally did it. I go to see Michael, and he's like trying to write out this new presentation. And I just write out and I say, guess what this is from? And I write out the. Do you know what I'm talking about in SpongeBob?
I think I know it. I can see like his hand and writing.
It's like dark at night. He's home. He's trying to like write out this entire essay for school. And he just focuses so much on just writing the. And he's like drawing it. And all he gets is the at the end of the night. Michael didn't get it at first, and I was wildly upset. But that's what it sounds like. Like you're beautifying it. It's like the entire point. You're procrastinating with your to-do list.
Yeah. And that's why I had to stop using those Asanas and all those. I'm like, it's such a waste of time. Notion, boom. To-do list, done. Move on to the next day. So that's what
okay, what's your next one?
Second, I'm going to classify it as my anti-aging workout. Now, I spent a lot of time listening to Andrew Huberman, Peter Attia, all those. And I just kind of got the base that every single one of these people agree with for longevity. And I just followed that for a year. And it's not as complicated as we think it is, but this is kind of all the research. And these are what I did for 2023. 150 minutes-ish of zone 2 cardio, any kind of cardio, swim, walk, go do berries in that kind of zone 2, which is like a brisk pace walk, slow run. 150 minutes, like that's 2 to 3 times a week. VO2 maxing, so that's sprint. You only need like 10 minutes. So about 10 minutes over your total week, try and go max out in something. So that's a berries class, sprint kind of thing. Third, resistance training. I think the general thing is like about 3 sets a week, every muscle group. That's not too complicated, like 3 by 12 of your hamstring, of your calf, of your abs, kind of think that. And then do some kind of mobility, stability thing. And that's all I did for a full year. Like I know it sounds complicated, but when you actually break it down, just pick a little something from each of those areas. So stability, mobility for you might be yoga. The cardio might be walks or runs. The strength training could be a berries, reformer Pilates, or just weight training. And then the VO2 max, just do something max out for 10 minutes. And just doing that for a year. And I've never felt better after a year than just doing that versus like doing these trends and training for aesthetics and doing all those extreme things, just like that balanced approach. I feel so much healthier and I'm not injured and it's not that crazy. It's nothing extreme. And all the literature right now kind of points to longevity, just doing those things. So that's all you kind of need.
I love that. I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
noted. Highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
My third one is a dumbed down version of that. It is walk at sunset no matter what. That's what I wrote down for me. So let me like explain why. I'm not somebody that will like wake up and go to the gym immediately. I will like fit it into my schedule. And I don't necessarily feel like it's like a me time because I feel like I'm working on like improving myself during the gym. So a walk to me is like mindless. I can listen to whatever I want. Nobody is bugging me. I take the dog. I don't take the dog. And it's just like sometimes I don't listen to anything and I just like reflect and just kind of think. And I used to just never prioritize myself with that and like giving myself that alone time, but also being like productive to a sense of like I love to walk. I could like walk a marathon and be happy. And I think a lot of people could probably relate to they don't prioritize themselves enough because they're moms, they're students, they're nurses, whatever they're doing, they're partners. And so it's really hard for them to be like, oh, well, I'm going to just go walk for myself and not invite anybody, or I'm not doing anything. I'm not working. Like, it was just a little habit that I developed where I was like, every single day I would walk at sunset. If it was raining, I go to the gym and I walk. And like, I still do it. And now I look forward to it. And it's like super stormy out right now, but I still am like, I'm going to go for a walk. And it's just like, it's this mental clarity. And I just think it's like a form of self love to find something you like. It doesn't have to be walking, but something that's not your intense at a workout or whatever it may be. It's just something you like to do. It could be reading, like figure it out.
Bonus, watching the sunset helps your circadian rhythm and your body produces melatonin. So you'll sleep better if you watch the sunset. So there's a reason. So if you're like, it's a waste of time, not a waste of time. Okay. Not that it'd be, it's for your own mental well-being. So that would definitely not be. Anyways, number 3 for me is no number running. And obviously I did the run streak the year before, and it was like, so have to run every day. And then I was doing all these programs to like try and get better at running, and running's really a big thing. And as soon as you get into running, you start calculating your splits and your distance. It's just like run. And it's like, if I didn't turn on my Apple Watch, it doesn't even count. And how many steps. And the last several months of 2023, I just like ran. Sometimes I wouldn't even turn my Apple Watch on. Sometimes, you have your steps on it, so you kind of can roughly figure out like, maybe I did about 3 to 5K, but no time, and just went. And for a lot of the times I was like, today I'm only going to go out for like 10 to 20 minutes. And then on a Saturday, you know what, I'll go out for an hour, and I might stop and walk a bit, but I'm just going to try and run at a pace that feels good. And it was so freeing, and it made running so enjoyable. And sometimes you need those goals, and sometimes you need a goal and you have something to execute. But then I think sometimes after it, you're so sick of it. And I found I could still maintain running if I just like every once in a while I was like, who cares? And it seems a little scary because you get so like rigid. I think anyone that gets into fitness becomes like very rigid about goals and all that. But I just challenge everyone to just sometimes just go run. Just listen to some music, and just, it becomes that me time. Like you said, what I was walking at sunset, like running can become that. And it's not just good for you physically, it also becomes good for you mentally versus this very rigid thing. So sometimes have goals, and sometimes just go.
Yeah. Sometimes I agree with that. I think it's important to acknowledge your goals, but also know that this is just life, and that we're lucky that we get to live it. And like, sometimes I'm always somebody that's looking for the next best thing.
100%.
And Michael's always reminding me like calm down and like live in the moment, because you're going to be thinking about it next, Yep. So I love that. My next one is, if you have a partner, check in with your spouse, or even check in with your roommate, check in with your family. Like, and what I mean by this is a habit that we developed where a lot of the times, like, I mean, you're working separate jobs or whatever it may be. Maybe your schedule is different and you're not really like checking in on like even like future goals together. Maybe it's trips. Maybe it's just how they're feeling. And like, we can tend to like kind of push it past, where we will go see, we're big walking people. Okay. This is usually when we do it. And in the past, we'd write out our goals for the New Year's, whatever. We realized it didn't really help us that much. Now, just once a week, maybe a couple times a week, we always check in with each other on like, how are you feeling? How was your day? And like kind of cover the main food groups of your life: mental well-being, family, relationship, and just job, and like just get the feedback, like, how are you feeling in this aspect? And I think it helps, because then, you get to talk to somebody about it. It doesn't have to be your spouse, but somebody you're really close with. It's like a little accountability partner.
Love that. And I think we're all guilty of like, sometimes you forget like what stresses someone else might be going through, and they just might not be talking about it, or what's in their head. And I think it's nice to check in with your partner, and then they're like, well, actually this bothered me. You're like, I had no idea. Like, you never know what people are keeping in, and even for our spouses. And I think it's just nice to even hear that, and vice versa. You have a safe space when you're like, I don't want to burden them with sign, but then it's like, this is my time to just explain what I'm going through. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can problem solve.
Oh, true. Very nice to have. Number 4 for me is utilizing lighting as a trigger. Now, a couple things. Now, I used to I love light. So I would, turn on all my lights as bright as possible, especially when the sun comes down at like 5 and all that. And I started just playing around with it. Like first thing in the morning, all lights come on. It's not going to replace the sun, but it's kind of even just like a trigger. It's time to be awake, and it's time just like a mental trigger. And then when I come home, it's dinner time. I turn my lights as dim as possible just to tell myself, like, we're setting the vibe. We're going slower. Yes, you can't see as well. That's the point, because you got to go slow. You got to be careful. You got to calm down. And also, it was really big for me because I just kind of did it, like I said, set the vibe. But as anyone who watched, I had the video about the no picking for 30 days. And it's so incredibly hard for me. And nothing's worked. Like decades on decades, like 2 decades worth, and nothing worked. And someone left this comment, and it was a game changer. So if anyone's struggling, so this is why I want to reach out to anyone. I just turn as soon as I get out of the shower, before I do my skincare, super dim in my bathroom. And I can't see. And even though I've never really had big whiteheads, like I would just pick the smallest of things, like the smallest of black, I could find. The lights are dim. I physically can't find it because I can't see it. So I find if that's something you're struggling with, and you can use lighting in so many different ways, like people love their red light, and there's a bunch of other ways, but I just kind of thought of lights on, lights off. And I'm like, what mood am I trying to be in? And you can just completely change your environment, because your environment can be such a trigger. And one trigger for me is bright lights, mirror. And suddenly, no bright lights, I can't see it. So no trigger. So using lighting to just like affect my mood and the environment. 10 out of 10 recommend.
I love that. Yeah. That's Michael and I have completely changed all the lights in our house. They were all harsh hospital lights.
Yep.
And we've slowly changed. I mean, there were so many of them. We've changed them. And I was just telling Michael, I'm like, there was a Saturday, I was just putting together dressers. I got Michael an Xbox for his birthday. So, that man's been gaming on the weekends. So he's gaming. I'm doing my own little thing. And I told him, I said, this is the nicest thing ever. I just had a nice little sparkling water and worked on my dressers while watching Gilmore Girls and like this mood lighting. And I said, it feels so cozy and like safe.
Yeah.
Hospital light, horrible. This, safe.
I really want to get those Philip lights. Those ones that like they set all the vibes. Oh, it's been in my Amazon.
Lights.
Those ones that like they can change like from red to purple to blue, and you can like change them, and you can like put them all, and they're all smartphone adapted, so you can put like strips everywhere. Anyways, they're, like I said, it's not in the budget right now, but definitely recommend.
1 second.
Okay. Is she going to show me the Philip lights? Is this a Philip light, or is something happened? I am not quite sure. We've lost Sav, but she's coming back.
I'll cut it out.
I kept talking, so you don't even need to. I was intrigued by what was going on.
Michael's in a phase, not Michael. Bentley's in a phase of eating trash. And I thought maybe the trash was left open. I heard him gagging and I freaked out because he ate a chicken bone a couple weeks ago. And the man, I was watching him like a hawk for a week. He's fine, thankfully.
Okay, good. Whew. Yeah. I thought you were about to show us some Philips light. So me and the audience were sitting here. We're like, oh, was she going to bring a Philips light? What kind of Philips light is she going to bring? We're sitting here. No, it was Bentley, but No,
it's just, I heard him hack and I thought, oh, dear God, what is he choking on? And
to be a fur mom.
8 years old and still pain in my ass sometimes, but I love him. Love him.
Like that.
Okay. Well, anyways, didn't mean to kill the mood. Get it? Ching. Okay, my last one, and this is something, once again, if you're like me, you do a million tasks, you can't focus, cleaning is not one of them. I will literally deep clean halfway on things. It's such a horrible thing that I do. And really what I've been doing lately, I've talked about it on the podcast, is this 5-minute timer for cleaning. This has saved me. I've been doing it for a couple months now. Saved me so much time because I'd be like, oh, we have guests coming. I need to do a full clean for an hour, whatever it is. No, I mean, for starters, do like one clean day reset a week. Okay. Wednesdays, Sundays, whatever works for your schedule. And then also organize. So like, don't just like clean around things. Organize. Like I have organized my junk drawer. I'm so proud of myself. I got little baskets.
Done.
Thank you. And I just keep them in their little spots. So I'm not getting like gross hair in there. And like when I throw junk in the junk drawer, it's random. wrappers. Like, it makes no sense.
Always.
Here,
Always.
I'm like, too beautiful. I won't ruin her. So that has helped me. And just set the 5-minute cleaner or 5-minute timer and do it once a day. And you will be shocked at what you can accomplish within 5 minutes, and then just stop after that. So you're not like solely getting focused on that one thing for an hour, and you waste all that time when you really wanted to clean, but you just needed a clean space.
She's an organized queen. I love it.
I know.
I love it. Well done. That's what I was like, I'm stealing those. I'm stealing that one. My last one. Cold exposure mini bursts. Now, we all know the science of cold exposure, Huberman. Everyone's doing a cold plunge. And you got to do, I think it's supposed to be like 12 minutes a week. And you jump in this cold plunge, you get it, cold shower, all this, which is fine. And there's definitely saying, if I had access to a cold plunge, would do. But what I've been doing instead, and it's so helpful, is especially you can't really do this in the summertime, but especially in the wintertime when it's cold outside, if I'm been working for an hour and a half and you kind of get that like drained feeling, and you got to go to your next Zoom meeting, and you got to start a new project, and you just got that like, there's no amount of caffeine in the world that can fix me in this moment. I wear as little as is socially acceptable. So usually I'll just like strip down to like just a tank top and jeans is what I'm wearing. And I'll go outside for a minute, and you're freezing. But it's not full cold exposure, but you come back in and it's just like reset. It's like, and there is a lot of science behind like cold exposure resetting dopamine. And it's not extreme cold, but just those little bursts are so absolutely amazing. And I find absolute game changer. Now, summertime, can't do that. Splash your face with cold water. You can take an ice cube, put it at the back of your neck. And obviously, if you have access to a cold shower and all that, but like, you don't have to do this full thing, part of your routine every morning, David Goggins, hard. It can just be like a couple like micro doses of cold exposure whenever you have that like lump in energy. Instead of me reaching for my 6th caffeine, I just step outside, and like, it's every time I do it, I'm like, why didn't you do this earlier? And I hate the cold, but that's the point. It's just like a reset.
Yeah.
And that's been a big game changer.
Instead of a cup of coffee, do that.
I mean, I'll still have the cup of coffee, but I will also do the cold exposure. Actually, no, I have to read this to the audience real fast. This is important. This is breaking news. This changed. This is my Roman Empire of 2023. Andrew Huberman just made this tweet. Clarification. I never said all people would be wise to delay drinking their caffeine 90 to 120 minutes post-waking. But if you have a tendency to energy crash in the afternoon, it can be very helpful to do the 20 to 120 minute delay. If you exercise soon after waking, caffeine first, A-okay. So all these people who say I should delay caffeine, no, I don't have to. And I didn't want to. And I've been avoiding that habit. And now I have clarification that I don't need to. I don't need to implement this habit, and I'm not going to. So boom, mic drop. I can bring that into 2024.
So as long as you work out, you're good to slurp down a cup of coffee first thing in the morning?
Apparently. And I'm not looking further into it. I'm just accepting that at face value and living my life accordingly from now on.
Right on.
According to that
right on. Live your life, girlfriend. Love it.
Yes. And on that note, shall we finish off with the first? Actually, no, they're not confession sessions this week. We thought we'd do a little twist. We reached out to you guys and asked, what were some habits you brought into 2023 that you failed at? We're going to confess the ones we failed at, and then what we're all going to be working on in 2023. And so I'm going to start out with what I failed at. I was convinced I'd be able to do the splits in a handstand, and I completely forgot to do that in 2023. I mean, I was on my stretching, but like no, not even close to the splits. Forgot I wanted to do that.
That is like a catch-22 or something. Like everybody will be like, I'm going to get my splits. Like I'll do that. And then, it's so boring to have to do. And it's so painful. Nobody wants to do it.
Exactly. And you get kind of close and you're like, this is close enough. I don't think I'll get better. And you just move on.
And it's crazy because if you practice it, you'll get it.
I've technically done it. But then as soon as I did it, I was like, hey, I did it. I can move on. Like I want to do it and maintain it is my biggest thing. Okay.
For sure. Mine, I don't have like goals of being like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Oh my gosh, my neighbor, I've talked about him before. Hopefully nobody can hear, but like his loud little car is going off right now. But my main focus for 2023 was like really growth in all aspects of my life. I just feel like
that.
I'm not reaching my potential and like not giving myself a chance with a lot of things, or like taking the chance like on myself. I think I can be really timid. And I feel like I got so busy this year with like getting married and running around and like trying to fix up my house right now. We have a lot of house projects that I was like pushing it off and not focusing on myself, focusing on everything else. And I feel like I failed at it, you know, at least I'm being honest, that I'm like, do better for 2024. Like this year came around and I was like, oh shit, you're telling me we're in the fourth quarter? Like, oh no, I didn't get what I wanted to do done. So that's how I feel.
Well, we've all been there. And actually leads to the first audience submission. Their goal was new movement, new week, aka new workout every week, but stopped in April due to traveling. And you make it 3 months. Can we stop with like, okay, you did 3 months of it. That's still awesome. Like there's no award at the end of the year if you actually did it for the full year. It's cool. But like the fact you did it for 3 months is just as impressive. And isn't that the case? We're so good for the first 3 months and then travel season happens and then everything out the door.
Okay, you want me to do the next one?
Yes, please.
Oh, I was like, is that what you're waiting for?
Yeah.
So somebody said, only one that I've kept is not eating movie theater popcorn for a year.
So I was like, you know what? I like they were just saying they failed at every single New Year's resolution they had. But you know what? They didn't eat movie theater popcorn. And I was like, you know what? It's the small wins sometimes.
What do you think? I got a question for them.
Yeah.
Why can't you eat movie theater popcorn? How often are you going to the movies?
I mean, like we all have our kryptonite. Do you know what I mean?
No,
like
for sure. I mean, movie theater popcorn is delicious.
Amazing.
Just my question is like, how often were you eating it that you felt like you had to stop?
Well, here's something a lot of people don't know. You can Uber Eats it.
What?
Yeah. So like it could be an everyday thing.
Did you do that?
I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth. I know what that means. I've been watching Suits.
She's a lawyer, girly.
I'm a lawyer now. The fact I didn't know what that even meant. I was like, Michael, why do they say that? And he's like, oh God. I'm like, I know nothing. That's very interesting. Well, okay. You know, the last time I bought movie theater popcorn, it was stale. And I said, never again. I'd rather just buy my popcorn. I actually just like to pop it and then just bring it. YOLO.
Ooh. Yep.
But good for them. I just thought like, I love it. So random, not like chocolate, alcohol.
Yeah.
Movie theater popcorn.
That's why I like it. I was like, it's so unexpected. And that's why it's amazing. Now, these are the things we're all going to work on together. We can just rapid fire one after the other. First one, I think is going to be a lot of us who run a marathon. Not this, though, become an engineer. Not a lot of us become an engineer. So cheers, you will do it. She has to write a test. I believe you'll run a marathon and become an engineer. You got
woot,
this.
Woot. Best of luck. Love the run a marathon and love becoming an engineer. We love a smart king or queen. Next one, learn how to curl my hair by myself and not rely on my hairdresser. Ooh, your wallet will love that.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's her hairdresser's sister, so it's probably free. It's just probably super inconvenient. Do you think
I didn't even see the sister part.
Yeah, I was like, you think her sister charged her? Imagine. Actually, my brother might do that. Yeah,
I feel like I know some people that like actually just will like get a blowout like once a week.
Yeah. I did that once and it was nice, but I'm like, can't be bothered spending money on that.
No, I feel like I would just invest in a Dyson wrap.
True. Next, read 50 books in 2024. And I love that. I considered it. I might go for it, but I'm going to give myself a month to figure out if that's even like physically possible for me. But I'm like, I have this goal of like a YouTube video. I read 100 books in 1 year, but that's just me being extremist. So good luck to you.
I love that. I recently got back into reading. I'm reading the sequel to The Summer I Turned Pretty. Books are much better than the TV show. But yeah, okay.
Good to know.
Next one, 5 pull-ups. Love that.
Got this. Love that goal. Next, 7 hours of sleep every night. And I will join you on this one. We got this. 7 hours plus.
Yeah. Okay, next up. Oh, did you have something?
Nope.
What? Your typos on this one. Growing
What?
Growing a baby and lifting for as long as I can. Guys, I wish you saw this. Yeah. It was like a BBL is what it looked like. I was like, a BBL, you want to grow?
I quickly, I was looking as we were talking and I was quickly doing it. So I did not remotely spell check it. So, you know, that's
Okay,
on me.
growing a baby, mic drop. That's
I got this.
amazing. Like, oh my gosh, and staying active. I think that's fantastic.
Woo, woo. I love it. As long as you can do it, like and I love that attitude, just as long as you can. That's all you
Yeah.
can do. Love that goal. Do you have any goals for 2024?
Mine, a lot of it is I'm working on the self-growth again, self-work.
I love that.
There's like a lot of things in my personal life I want to work on. And also just a lot of things in general, figuring out what I like, what I want to do. I feel like when you're in your later 20s, you're kind of like, okay, I'm no longer like this 18-year-old, but I'm also not like a 30-year-old with I don't have a baby or anything. So this is my time to be selfish and just
do it.
I'm going all in this year. I'm holding
Go
myself
all in.
accountable. What about you?
I'll be here cheering. 2 things. Drop my album, or at least a handful of songs, if I'm not going to call it an album, for the summer. And then I start my 2024 series, which is still unnamed, but it's very like, and I get closer every year to creating like a Keltie video. Like Casey Neistat has vlogs, David Dobrik has 4-minute, there's a Emma Chamberlain, there's a Hot Ones, there's all this. And like every year I get just a little closer to this like vision in my head. And it's hard, like you have the vision in your head, but to actually execute it. And I really hope this year is like, that's a Keltie creative masterpiece, lack of better terms, that people enjoy. I just want, something that I enjoy making, it feels creatively fulfilled and people enjoy watching. And so hopefully this series in 2024 is that.
I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And you know what? We have a goal. I'm just going to, I haven't even told you, but my goal is we get to at least like meet up and do another, filming set, maybe even do a meetup. Like we always talk about it. Haven't done it. Because, in 2023, we saw significant growth with just you guys wanting to come hang out with us. So 2024, we'd like to, I think I want to pay dues back and like
count me.
Meet up with them. And I just think it's so fun. It's a very niche thing, like podcast listeners. You guys are the OGs because you sit here for an hour.
Yeah. If you're listening right now, you are our favorite. Hands down. You can tell the other children. You can tell the other kids, we like you better.
We're the besties for the resties. Because you and I, we're podcast junkies. And the amount of like, I just feel like I hang out with those girls that I listen to. And I want people to feel that way so they don't feel alone. Because when I'm alone, I listen to that. I'll pop an earbud in and I'll just veg out and just enjoy my little life. And I giggle and I feel like they're my friends. So I hope you guys feel like we're your friends. Because you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's crush 2024.
All right. Bye.
Bye.